I found out my sister was getting married from Instagram. Not a phone call, not a text, just a photo of her hand with a ring, her fiancé Luke grinning next to her, and a caption that read, "I said yes ring #finally." It had 267 likes in an hour. At first, I thought maybe she'd just forgotten to tell me. It had happened before, small things like weekend plans or job interviews. But a wedding? That didn't feel like something you forget to tell your only sibling. I gave her a few days. Maybe she was still busy celebrating, maybe I'd get a call soon. But a week passed, then two, and I heard nothing. So I called her. "Hey," I said. "Congrats on the engagement." A pause. "Oh, thanks." I waited, expecting her to fill the silence with something, an apology, maybe an invitation, or at least some warmth. But nothing came. "I saw your post," I added. "The ring's beautiful." She cleared her throat. "Yeah, Luke picked it. He has good taste." "He does," I said, trying to stay upbeat. "So, when's the big day?" More silence. Then she said it. Flatly. Like she was reading off a receipt. "We're keeping it small." I laughed, confused. "Okay, so when should I book my flight?" She hesitated. "Actually, you're not on the guest list." I thought I misheard. "What?" "We're not inviting you." I waited for the punchline. It didn't come. "Why?" I asked, my voice barely holding itself together. She gave a tired sigh. "It's just better this way. For everyone. Everyone." I hung up before I said something I'd regret. Later that night, I called my parents. Surely they'd be outraged. Surely they'd talk sense into her. Surely they'd tell her that family means something. But they didn't. They backed her up. "She has the right to invite whoever she wants," my mother said gently, like I was some unstable bomb she didn't want to trigger. "Let's not make this about you," my dad added. "It's her wedding." I couldn't sleep that night. My chest felt like it was packed with wet cement. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together when things had started going so wrong. We weren't always like this. And then, the first unexpected thing happened. At 3:12 a.m. I got a text. From Luke. I didn't agree with her. "Call me." I stared at the text for 10 minutes before I called. Luke and I weren't close, but we'd always been civil. I'd helped him move once. We'd shared beers at family barbecues. He even called me bro for a weird stretch in 2019. When he picked up, he whispered, "Hey, I'm in the guest bathroom. She thinks I'm asleep. Why are you texting me?" I asked, still half convinced I was dreaming. "I didn't know she wasn't inviting you," he said quickly. "Not until last week." I sat up. "You're the groom. How do you not know who's on the guest list?" She handled it all with her mom. "Your mom too?" "I asked about you and she said you declined. I thought you had a fight or something. But now I realize she lied." He sounded genuinely upset. Whispery but firm. "I thought you were coming. I wanted you there." I didn't know what to say. I was still trying to process that my sister had lied about me. "Why would she tell you I declined?" Luke hesitated. "She said you'd make things complicated. That there'd be drama. But honestly, I think something else is going on." I rubbed my eyes. "Like what?" "She's been acting strange for weeks," he said. "Secretive. She got a P.O. box. She started meeting someone in secret. I followed her once. That made me go still." "Wait. What?" "Don't freak out. I thought she was cheating, but she wasn't meeting a guy. It was a woman. Older. Late 40s maybe." I blinked. "Like, a lawyer?" I thought so too, but then I found some papers in her desk drawer. "What kind of papers?" I didn't get to look long. She caught me. We had a huge fight. She said I was paranoid, jealous, insecure, the whole script. She cried. I dropped it. I felt like I was falling into a rabbit hole. "And you're just okay with all this?" "No," he said. "That's why I'm calling you. I think she's hiding something from all of us." He paused. "I'm sending you the address where she met the woman. Maybe you can figure it out." At 3:21 a.m. I received a text with an address on the other side of town. I didn't sleep. I just lay there wondering how a wedding had turned into a conspiracy and why I suddenly felt like I was the only one asking the right questions. By 8 a.m. I was parked 2 blocks away from the address Luke sent me. It was a beige building with tinted windows and a dented silver mailbox out front. No sign, no company name. Just a small plaque next to the door that read, "Suite 204, by appointment only." Very cloak and dagger. I waited in my car for nearly an hour, watching people come and go. Most looked like office workers, coffee in hand, business casual, backpacks. But then around 9:15, a woman pulled up in a nondescript gray car. It was my sister. She wore sunglasses, a scarf around her hair like she was in disguise. She entered the building alone. I counted 5 minutes. Then I got out of my car and followed. Inside, the lobby smelled like dust and floor wax. The elevator had a janky rattle, so I took the stairs 2 floors up. Suite 204 was at the end of the hall. I heard voices, one of them was definitely hers. I couldn't get close without being obvious. But just down the hall, I noticed a waiting bench with a discarded magazine. I sat, crossed my legs, and pretended to read while keeping one ear tilted toward the door. What I heard made my skin go cold. "So the papers are finalized?" my sister asked. "Yes," said the older woman, voice calm, professional. "Once the marriage license is signed, we can file. Everything's lined up. It'll all look like it happened naturally." "Good," my sister said. "And no one else has to know?" "No one. Unless you tell them." I nearly dropped the magazine. Then my sister said something I never expected. "What about the inheritance?" "My dad's will, the clause." "There's a loophole," the woman replied. "As long as it's uncontested, you get your share. But if your sibling finds out—" "I'm not worried," my sister interrupted. "He won't. He's not invited." I wasn't just being cut out of a wedding. I was being cut out of something bigger. Way bigger. I left before the meeting ended, afraid I'd do something stupid like confront her in the hallway or throw a chair through the door. Back in my car, I texted Luke. "You were right. She's hiding something. I'll explain soon. And I think this is about money." I didn't go home. I drove straight to my parents' house. I still had a key, no one had thought to ask for it back, and I hadn't offered. My plan wasn't clear, just this blurry mix of adrenaline and anger. If my sister was hiding something tied to our family, our inheritance, then someone else had to know something. Or they were in on it. The house was quiet when I arrived. My mom was at work and Dad was probably out for one of his early lunch walks with his retired buddies. That gave me time. I went straight to the study. Same heavy oak desk. Same musty carpet. The safe was still behind the bookshelf, it hadn't moved an inch in 20 years. I used the old combination I memorized as a kid, the one Dad never changed, Mom's birthday, then mine. Click. Inside were a few folders, some insurance stuff, a stack of bonds I didn't even know existed, and then a thick envelope marked in my dad's scrawl. "Read only if something happens." I opened it. Inside was a copy of his will. A very different one than what we'd seen after his health scare last year. This version was dated 5 months ago. The inheritance was to be split evenly between me and my sister, but only if we remained on good terms and both attended each other's major life events. I blinked. It was underlined. The clause made no sense to me at first. But then I remembered what the woman had said behind that closed office door. "There's a loophole if it's uncontested." My sister's plan clicked into place like a key in a lock. She wanted to marry, keep me off the guest list, claim I had no interest in being involved, and then, because I hadn't attended, she'd say the clause was void on my side. She'd walk away with everything. I sat down on the floor, clutching the will, and laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. Because I almost respected how calculated it was. My phone buzzed. "Luke. She's freaking out. I think she knows I told you something. She just asked if I'd been talking to you." I lied. "But this is getting dangerous." I stared at the message. My sister wasn't just planning to leave me out of her wedding. She was planning to erase me from the family. And the next move had to be mine. I didn't sleep again that night. I stayed up rereading the will, trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to go nuclear, expose everything, call a lawyer, tell the whole family. But another part of me wanted answers. Why would she go this far? The next morning, I drove to her apartment. She opened the door in a silk robe, surprised but not shocked. Like she'd been expecting me eventually. "I'm not staying long," I said. "Just needed to return something." She raised an eyebrow. "What?" I pulled out a copy of the will and held it up. Her face drained of color. "Where did you get that?" "Dad's safe," I said. "You really thought I wouldn't check?" She looked past me, down the hall. "Maybe checking if neighbors were watching. Maybe looking for Luke." "I don't know what you think you know." "I know enough," I snapped. "I know about the clause. I know about the woman you've been meeting. I know you lied to Luke. And to our parents. And to me." She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Her voice dropped to a cold whisper. "You always wanted to be the favorite. You always acted like you were better. Now you're surprised I finally got tired of it." I blinked. "What the hell are you talking about?" "Oh, come on," she said. "You were always Dad's shadow. His clone. Every conversation, every choice, it was always what would he say or what would he do. I was invisible. I had to do something different. This." I held up the will. "This is your big act of independence?" "I earned that inheritance," she snapped. "While you were off doing your freelancing nonsense, living off favors and excuses, I was the one taking care of him when he was sick. I was the one Mom called when she didn't know what to do. I stared at her. So your solution was to lie to everyone, cut me out of your wedding, and try to steal the money? She didn't answer. Just stared back, face frozen. I shook my head. You don't have to love me. You don't even have to like me. But you can't erase me. She finally spoke again, voice flat. So what now? You going to tell Mom and Dad? No, I said. I'm going to do one better. I'm going to show up. She blinked. What? I'll come to the wedding. Publicly. With a smile. And you'll let me in. Because if you don't, this little clause? It gets messy. Fast. Her mouth opened, then closed. We both stood there, a quiet war waged entirely with stares. Congratulations, sis, I said as I walked away. You're getting married. I'll see you there. And then, just as I reached the elevator, she called after me. You think you've won, she said. I didn't turn around. You have no idea what's coming next. The invitation arrived 2 days later. No note, no apology, just a formal, embossed card tucked in a plain white envelope. My name in calligraphy, my address handwritten on the front like nothing had happened. It was surreal. The venue was a vineyard just outside the city, expensive, exclusive, obnoxiously picturesque. I knew because I Googled it immediately and found a feature article titled "Weddings Worth a Second Mortgage." I didn't RSVP. I just showed up. I wore a charcoal suit, freshly pressed. Nothing flashy. I didn't want to draw attention, just enough to remind people I belonged. But as I walked toward the ceremony area, I noticed every head I passed turned just a little too quickly. They all knew. Or at least, they'd heard something. And then I dropped the real bomb. I brought a date. Not just anyone, Sophia, my father's former estate lawyer. I'd contacted her 3 days earlier, sent her a scan of the will I found in the safe, and told her everything. She agreed to come. In her words, if your sister wants to play legal games, I'll bring the rulebook. We made our entrance just before the ceremony started. My sister froze at the altar when she saw us. Luke saw us too, he didn't look surprised. He nodded, just barely, almost like a thank you. The ceremony began, tense but proceeding. The officiant fumbled over words like he could feel the air had changed. When they reached the I do part, my sister hesitated. Just a second, but long enough to notice. Afterward, during the reception, I stuck to the edge of the party with Sophia while Luke kept looking over at us like he was trying to signal something. Finally, he walked over with 2 glasses of champagne and said, "We need to talk." Now. We stepped out into a side garden away from the crowd. She's planning something else, he said immediately. She took out a second life insurance policy 2 weeks ago. What? I blinked. On who? He looked down. On me. My heart stopped. She said it was just a precaution, that it was standard. But she forged my signature. I saw the form in her planner. And the name of the witness? Your mother. I staggered back a step, like he'd punched me. Mom signed it? She must not have known what it really was, Luke said. Or maybe she did. I don't know anymore. But I've been pretending I didn't see it. Until I could get help. He looked at Sophia. Can we do something about this? Sophia nodded slowly. Absolutely. But not here. And just as we turned to head back inside, we heard someone shout from the main hall. Then a crash. And someone screamed. We ran. We burst back into the hall to find the wedding cake toppled, smashed on the floor like it had leapt to its sugary death. Guests were huddled near the dance floor, murmuring, some filming. Others were rushing to calm someone down. At the center of the chaos, my mom. Tears streaked her cheeks, her voice rising above the room as she shouted at my sister. I signed it because you told me it was for a loan, Claire. Claire, my sister, stood frozen in her wedding dress, face blank, hands trembling. You told me it was for the house. Mom cried. For a down payment, how could you forge Luke's signature? Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a glass. Luke, at my side, exhaled like he'd just taken his first breath in hours. Claire tried to speak, but nothing came out. So Mom kept going. And then I find out you lied about your brother. About the guest list. You told me he didn't want to come. Her voice cracked. You played us all. You even used your own wedding as a cover. For what? Payout? Some warped revenge. Then, my father appeared from the crowd. Hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. That's enough, he said. Calm. Low. Controlled. Claire turned toward him. Her face was pale, but her eyes flashed. Like a cornered animal. You don't understand, she said. I understand plenty, Dad said. I found the folder. The false claims. The hidden accounts. The prenup you tricked Luke into signing without a lawyer present. Luke's face twisted. Wait, what prenup? Oh yeah, I muttered. It gets better. Claire was breathing fast now, dress rustling as she fidgeted. I was trying to protect myself, she said. This family, you all act like I'm the villain. Like I didn't spend years being pushed aside. You're not the villain because you felt neglected, Dad said quietly. You're the villain because you decided to burn everyone down in return. It was silent for a beat. Then she whispered, "You're just like him." We all knew who she meant. Dad didn't respond. He just turned to the guests and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. The wedding is over." Gasps, murmurs, some people already reaching for their coats. A few looked genuinely heartbroken, but most, relieved. Claire stood still as stone, mascara streaked, eyes hollow. No one moved to comfort her. Then, without a word, she walked out, down the aisle, alone, like a reverse bride, out the doors into a car, gone. Just like that. And in the stunned quiet that followed, Luke turned to me. "Thank you," he said. "You saved me." I looked around the shattered party and said, "I think we saved each other." The wedding that wasn't made headlines in the local paper. Not because of the drama, but because the vineyard filed a police report for damages. A cake cart had been overturned, a speaker system fried by spilled champagne, and someone apparently let the peacocks out of their enclosure. Yes, there were peacocks, but the real fallout happened quietly. 2 days later, I met my parents at a small cafe near their place. No shouting, no blaming. Just quiet grief over what none of us wanted to admit. That my sister had crossed a line she couldn't uncross. "She's staying with a friend," Mom said, stirring her tea like it might offer answers. "We haven't heard from her." Dad didn't speak for a while. Then finally, "She's not evil. She's broken. And she's not the only one we failed." Caught me off guard. "What?" He looked up. "You. We should have seen this coming. We put pressure on you to be the stable one. And when Claire started drifting, we were too focused on keeping up appearances." "I'm sorry." I nodded, unsure what to say. That meant more than I expected. Maybe it always would. As for Luke, he filed to have the prenup declared invalid. Sophia helped. He's staying with a friend for now, thinking about moving. We talk more now than we ever did when he was my sister's fiancé. Sometimes he sends me memes late at night, like a truce offering wrapped in absurdity. And Claire? I don't know. She's off the radar, at least for now. Last I heard, she withdrew her claim on the inheritance and closed the joint account she tried to open in Luke's name. No formal charges. Dad said he didn't want to destroy her completely. Just let her go. Funny how families break and bend. Sometimes the cracks were always there. We just pretended not to see them. As for me, I've been writing again. Funny how life hands you material. The title of my new piece? The Guest List. And this time, I'm not leaving anyone out.